Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. This is your daily news where we go over some of the headlines and what is going on around the world. So first, Apple, they're opening up their first store in India. This is in Mumbai. And Tim Cook is happy over there, ready to get that money. And this is something that we've been seeing for a while is they're trying to shift more of their focus of the operations from China to India. So we're not talking about just opening up stores, but also opening up factories. But again, they're opening up their first Apple store over there. And this is actually following the news. We talked about this yesterday where Apple's offering a savings account in cooperation with Goldman Sachs. I think it was like 4.15% as of now. And that may go up. You never know because the Fed is raising rates. Also, there's another big news about Apple. And I'm actually surprised by this one, to be perfectly frank. So the rumor as of now is that they are indeed coming out with the headset. So there were, we were tracking the story before, and there were essentially conflicting rumors. Are they going to do it or not? And one of the things that really surprised me, well, I won't say super surprised, but let's just say it came in more expensive than even I thought. So now they're saying this is going to be about $3,000. I was kind of thinking it was going to be more around $2,000, but it is Apple, and what do you expect? They can charge whatever they want. But $3,000 seems really high, to be perfectly frank. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that they're planning all kinds of things for this headset. So they're hoping that developers jump on board and develop a bunch of apps for this thing. So the watching live sports one, I think, is an interesting one. It's something that I've heard before to where, like, for example, if you could put on a headset and then, these companies figure out a way to essentially get virtual cameras to essentially give you the experience of, courtside seats or sitting on the, right above the dugout in baseball or, right on the 50-yard line in football, et cetera, right? Really good seats on a headset. That would actually be pretty cool. And there could be all sorts of things, with all of that. Imagine looking around the stadium and just getting that experience. So then in that regard, that would actually theoretically pay for itself if you're a big sports fan, but $3,000 still seems pretty high. And then they're also talking about too, which surprised me, like, it never ceases to surprise me if stuff Apple's going on, but I guess they're looking at getting all of their apps to work with the headset. So be it calendars, contacts, files, control your lights in your home, mail, maps, messaging, notes, photos, reminders, like everything, music, news, stocks, weather, apps, all this stuff. So, maybe in the future we'll be all doing this sort of thing together. And theoretically, I could certainly see it in the future where, channels have like sort of like meetups with, virtual groups, and we can meet with essentially you and have like a forum where we talk all to the headset. So I guess don't discount it yet. And Apple, if you're watching, please send me a headset. I'll be happy to review it. $3,000 is actually quite a lot, but we'll see if you send me one, and then we'll give you some review on that. But I'd love to hear your thoughts if you guys think $3,000 is about right, too much, or too little. Also, too, going on, it turns out that some people may actually be doing okay, and I say okay because it looks like paychecks are now exceeding inflation. This is the median. So it depends, obviously, which industry you are, and also, too, how many raises you've had in the past. So the basic gist of it, if you look at this chart here, you can see it right there. So essentially what this does, this measures like, okay, what are wage gains, the median wage gains, and then what is inflation? And so at the moment, wage gains are above inflation. This is median, but this is just in the past quarter. So it was 6.1% for full-time wage and salary workers. Is higher, right, this past quarter, and then the inflation came out at 5.8, so a little bit higher. But again, it depends on what industry you're in, because let's say, for example, that you haven't gotten a raise for, say, 3 years, and yes, maybe your raise, exceeds inflation this past quarter, but it doesn't really make up for, all the other past 3 years. So again, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on these things because I do think it matters to understanding consumers and where we go from here. Now, one of the things that I didn't know, because I don't know everything, but you do learn, that's why we do these things together. So I guess Americans are using buy now, pay later apps for groceries, and I didn't know that. I just didn't know that groceries were offering that kind of service. This is an older chart on buy now, pay later. So this would be like your Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, PayPal, and Zip. So the use is going up again. This is an older chart, though. This is through 2021, so it does not include 2022 data, whether or not people are using these buy now, pay later thing. The thing that stood out for me, though, and that's why they highlighted it here, was that, yes, people are indeed using it for groceries, although the vast majority of people are using buy now, pay later for, like, shoes, clothes, home decor, tech, this kind of stuff. But they are starting to use it for groceries. And it's not surprising because groceries are indeed expensive. It is what it is. I was looking at here, they were saying for the average family of four, groceries is about $1,000 a month. That sounds about right. Right in terms of, yes, that's what it costs. Not right in terms of like, is that affordable? It just costs a lot of money these days. And then 2 years ago, the average family of four was paying $675 for groceries. So just want to let you guys know on that. I do think we want to keep an eye on these things of whether or not people are essentially don't have enough money to pay for their food. That is an issue. You can take a look at this. So the banks, this would be the big banks. They're starting to essentially write off bad debt. So 3.4 billion. This is in bad consumer loans, and that is up. The write-offs are up 73%. Now, yes, the bad loans are rising, but it's not necessarily at ludicrous levels or anything like that yet. Just that's sort of where it's trending, and that's something that I mentioned to you guys before. Watch debt levels and whether or not people are paying things back. So you can see here, this is Citigroup and Wells Fargo. So starting to creep up, but not the write-offs aren't as high as say the 2020 during the pandemic. So we'll keep an eye on that. We did have bank earnings out today, so this is sort of why we were getting some of this data. One of the ones that stood out to me is that Bank of America is going to be cutting 4,000 jobs. If you ask Bank of America CEO, he says, so his name is Brian Moynihan, he's saying, no, everything is fine. We're going to be okay. We're going to have a mild recession, this according to Bank of America. However, what I always tell you guys, look at what people do, not what they say, right? So they say everything is fine, but yet they're cutting 4,000 jobs. That's about 2% of their workforce. And obviously, and this is something I mentioned to you guys before, regardless of what, data says, of wage gain, recession, big or small, if you lose your job, right, you're struggling and you're in a recession. So that's why I said so many times, you need to be, focused on paying off your debt and making sure that your job is secure. You got to have that money coming in to make it through this. So this is what's going on with Bank of America. Goldman Sachs reported basically, and it's been like this for a while. A lot of their investment income is down, and you're essentially seeing a slowdown because interest rates are going up. It's just not as attractive to do investment banking. That doesn't mean that people are going to completely stop, investing money. That's not the case. It's just things are slowing down. The free money isn't there. And one of the things that I think is interesting is the Fed keeps saying the same thing over and over again. Bostic, this is one of the Fed people. So now I guess he's not voting this year, but he can come out and say his opinion. Although remember, whenever they do these things, there's two things I don't remember with Fed talk. One is they always try to give you the rosiest scenario, and two, it's not by mistake. They do not say things by on a whim or by mistake. So these are planned. So basically, he's saying, hey, we're probably going to hike rates 25 basis points in May, and then pause it for some time. So he's staying on message with that. Nothing new. More earnings reports came in. Johnson & Johnson, they had a decent earnings in terms of, it's a little bit complicated, but they're essentially raising their outlook, right, for the year. Sales remain steady. It's growing a bit, right? Their earnings were up as well, but there was something big that happened is they essentially are settling a claim. There's this thing, I think it's a talc powder. It's a baby powder that may or may not cause cancer. They are not admitting guilt. This is how I understand it. They're not admitting guilt yet. They are going to be paying was it $6.9 billion in essentially fines/charges or settlements, better way to put it. And for those of you who have legal background, you could look through this one. And my understanding with these kind of things is when you settle in this way, you're not admitting guilt, but you are paying the money. So, how you want to read that is up to you, whether or not the powder is cancerous. So again, this is like a baby powder is my understanding of it. If they did not have the charge, they would have actually been profitable, but obviously the charge is there. So what it is, they ended up losing $68 million this quarter. Without the charge, they would have been was a net profit of $5.15 billion is what it's saying here. And then they're saying earnings per share are also up as well. But again, this is you can't ignore that they have to pay a bunch of money for this charge. And this is actually something that you're concerned about with these kind of companies is how liable are they going to be for this sort of stuff. We know that 3M, which is not necessarily pharmaceutical, but it's the mask thing, and it was they make masks, but 3M makes all kinds of tape and paper, also stuff. But they have an issue going on over there with the earplugs. So keep an eye on these kind of big things because, like I said, whether or not a company is responsible for their products and by how much, and when they get basically major claims against them, it certainly affects the bottom line. So we do keep track of these things. And this is another one that I could probably talk about all day, every day, but I don't. But I do mention from time to time. I guess the trial, Fox versus the Dominion thing, that is just starting, and you're hearing opening arguments. I will talk about this from time to time because I do think it's an important one. The basic gist of it is, guys, and I think this is why it's important, is can a media outlet like, say, Fox News, just make stuff up, essentially? And also, too, even when their hosts know that they're pushing lies, is that a good thing? Now, I hope we can all agree that just making stuff up is not great. Also, frankly, not good. And also, too, that we do need to hold these kind of media organizations accountable. I myself, even if I get something wrong, I will literally say the next day, apologies, I got something wrong, but it's not like anything malicious. Like, for example, if I got a number wrong and I said, hey, Apple's selling for 3,000, and tomorrow it turns out they're selling their headsets for 3,100, I would say so. I don't have any reason to just make stuff up. And so this is something I hope and wish that we're all trying to live in a world where I try to get things correctly and not advocating any particular point of views. And so that's sort of something I stress on this channel, and that's why I don't necessarily focus on the Fox Dominion thing all day, every day. And I probably could, but I do think it's an important story, so watch this one. So love to hear your thoughts about anything that we talked about today regarding buy now, pay later, regarding some of the banks, regarding Apple's decision, and regarding Fox. Always appreciate everyone watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.